Good evening, Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com, here with your hurricane outlook and discussion. Tropical storm Hermine edition. This is about 8:30 in the evening Eastern Time on August 31st, 2016. I am in my hotel in Lake City, Florida, and here is a look at now Tropical storm Hermine down in the Gulf of Mexico. You can see convective activity, spiral banding trying to get going, but you can also see that it seems to be strung out. Energy is escaping off to the north and the east. It is not focused and bundled around a classic looking storm with spiral bands, all of it in and of its own. The energy is still being spread out. So you have some energy developing here off the east coast of Florida. There's some out here over the western Atlantic, some up here in the northeast Gulf, and all of that matters. It's not bundling right here where it needs to be if this is going to intensify substantially. Now, it still has plenty of time over very warm water before it makes its way up towards somewhere in this region, seemingly along some portion of the Florida panhandle. Taking a look at the latest from the National Hurricane Center as of the 8 o'clock Eastern Time advisory, winds are now up to 50 miles per hour, pressure around 1,001 millibars, and it's now moving north-northeast at 8 miles per hour. So let's look at something real important here. The longitude is 87.4. All right, so Apalachicola over here is around 85 degrees longitude, and the rest of the Big Bend of Florida over here, Appalachia Bay, would be east of there. So once this gets east, assuming it does, of 85 degrees longitude here, then the big focus will be over here. If it stays west of 85 and comes up like that, for example, west of 85 degrees longitude, the threat will diminish over on this portion of the coast and will probably increase, it certainly will, for the areas right around Apalachicola and maybe even Panama City Beach over here, to the west side of 85 longitude, and of course Appalachia Bay. We don't know yet. It's still 36 hours out or so, and we're still not sure exactly where this is going to come in. I say we, anybody in the hurricane tracking community, the Hurricane Center, I mean, all of this stuff has error probabilities associated with it. As of the 5 o'clock advisory package, this is what the map looked like at that point, with the center forecast to come ashore pretty much right there at 30 north, 85 degrees west, and then moving inland. This is a big change from earlier. Inland over the interior southeast states, meaning very heavy rain, especially on the east side. This seems to be an east sort of lopsided system, and boy, the rainfall and the potential for severe weather. Anybody traveling for this Labor Day weekend, this is going to be a problem. Unfortunately, there's going to be traffic issues. People are not going to slow down like they need to, and indirectly, one way or another, I fear that this, with the rainfall coming down along I-95 especially, there's going to be fatalities. People are just not going to slow down, and we know that's coming. It's a sad reality, but hitting on a holiday weekend like this when people are traveling is very inopportune for sure. Now, the threat at the coast remains to be the storm surge. If it becomes a hurricane, then certainly the wind issues would be higher, but I want to focus on storm surge for just a moment here. This is the map, the interactive map that the Hurricane Center is updating roughly every hour after the major advisory times. So around 6 o'clock Eastern Time and then midnight Eastern Time, you get the idea. It comes out about an hour after the advisory package. So the greatest risk of storm surge flooding right now is up here in the Appalachia Bay area. St. Mark's right here, it seems like the highest risk, and it's problematic. If this system comes in at the correct angle and near high tide, there could be, as denoted with these areas of orange, surge inundation above ground level more than 5 or 6 feet, and that is substantial. Now, farther to the south and east, along the Nature Coast, the threat of storm surge is diminishing a little bit just from the track forecast and the intensity, but this too could change. Spring Hill looking really good. Homosassa Springs is better, and even up in here through Cedar Key and Sewanee, not as threatening a storm surge event on the current information from the 5 p.m. advisory. This could change if the track were to come up and shift more like this for some reason. Then this area is going to be in a huge storm surge risk. On the other hand, if the track of Hermine comes in like this, that would put this area right here in that right front quadrant, and it would just efficiently pile up the water into Appalachia Bay, and there could be as much as 9 feet of storm surge flooding based on my experience from the past and looking at different events and the way that the bathymetry is offshore and the potential to just funnel that water right up into Appalachia Bay is certainly there, and people need to be ready for that. I'm sure there will be evacuations. Some have already been announced. And a real quick note about that, if you want to filter through all the noise and the quote-unquote excitement of this, I don't like to use the word hype, but just the inherent excitement, almost to an unbearable level, just go to weather.gov, weather.gov, put in your zip code, and then read any hurricane local statements. Read anything that's in red, like an outlook or a statement, a special weather statement, anything like that. And that's going to give you unbiased, objective information for your local area. All right, weather.gov, put in your zip code or the zip code of somebody you're concerned about, and at your fingertips is a wealth of information from the local weather forecast office. Now here's the track guidance from earlier this afternoon. UTC time was 1800, and you can see a real tight clustering into the central Florida panhandle, and then over the interior southeast, maybe exiting up here east of New Jersey, south of New England. We'll have to see about that. Water temperatures up here are marginal, 80 degrees, 81 degrees in some areas. So this is sort of part B of the life cycle. Let's see what happens. Let's see if it does come up and in fact stay inland, or if it comes out and meanders. We can worry about this part. I know people have questions, but let's deal with the landfall down in this area first, which is about 24 to 30 hours away or so from right now. My plan is to set up our storm surge cameras, maybe 2 of them up here in Appalachia Bay and 1 of them over here perhaps north of Cedar Key in the Sewanee area. I think that would be helpful for the folks in Dixie County, and then certainly up here in the Appalachia Bay region. Very helpful because, again, this is where the highest storm surge right now appears to be headed. And then I'll just kind of hang around in the area where it's safe as I can be, to try to provide wind readings and pressure data. If this develops an eye and is a bona fide hurricane, well, I'd like to be in that eye and try to provide some much needed data from the anemometer on my vehicle in a safe, open location away from water, obviously. And so I'm going to be researching all that tonight, where I could be, and it may be inland a little bit for obvious reasons, but I'm going to do the best I can, and I'll keep posting updates in our app, Hurricane Impact, a great aggregation of everything that I do except live video. I'll put links to the live video, but there's no live video in the app itself. But I will be activating the storm surge cam in the app. No weather data in the app this time because I was not anticipating this to be a hurricane coming down here, and I wanted to focus on the biggest impact, and that was storm surge. So the weather stations are not going to be active, but I will be posting in the in Twitter, for example, and on the videos, weather information, the wind and the pressure coming from my vehicle. So be sure to check the app for that under the video section and under the Twitter part. It's all right there inside the app, nice and convenient, and so follow along if you can. Then, of course, on YouTube and outside of the app, all kinds of updates. You don't have to pay for it, any of it, really. The app and everything else, if you want to get that, it helps to support what we do, and it's a nice, convenient way to have everything in one spot. But I'm certainly going to put everything I can out there for the public outside of the app. Just wanting to plug that for you, all right? So that's it from me for tonight. I'm going to try to get some sleep after doing some research, and then I will be out probably around the crack of dawn tomorrow. I'm Mark Sudduth in Lake City, Florida for HurricaneTrack.com. I have a lot more for you coming tomorrow.